Imagine for a second winning the absolute greatest war in human history. The Mahabharata is over. The Pandavas have achieved the ultimate victory. I mean, we're talking about immense wealth, unmatched honor, and this sprawling, unbelievable empire. But then, just a few years later, they do something completely unthinkable. They abandon their kingdom, they take off their jeweled crowns, dress in simple clothes, and voluntarily walk straight into the freezing, unforgiving Himalayan mountains toward their own deaths. Now you might be wondering, why? What could possibly compel the ultimate victors to just throw away everything they literally bled for? Okay, let's dive into this. Because to uncover this massive paradox, we actually need to look away from the Pandavas' capital of Hastinapur. The answer doesn't start with them at all. We have to turn our attention far away, to the coast, to the divine, golden city of Dwarka. This is the city founded by Lord Krishna himself. And what happens here? Well, it sets the cosmic clock ticking toward the end of an entire era. Part 1, the fall of Dwarka. So, Dwarka was the city of unimaginable wealth and seemingly invincible warriors. Golden palaces, a sense of prosperity that felt, completely permanent. But destiny, as our source material reveals, had already written a very different script. Its destruction started not with some massive invading army, but with a foolish, seemingly insignificant mistake. It's like a giant puzzle, so let's map out this bizarre sequence of events. Step 1. Some young Yadava princes decide to play a prank on visiting sages. They dress a young man up as a pregnant woman and laughingly ask the sages if the baby will be a boy or a girl. Step 2. The sages, using their divine vision, see the mockery and get absolutely furious. They curse the quote-unquote pregnancy, stating it won't birth a child but an iron mace that will destroy the entire Yadava clan. Step 3. A literal iron mace is actually produced. Terrified, the king orders the mace ground into fine dust and thrown into the sea to avoid the curse. But step 4 is where fate seals the deal. That iron dust washes back onto the beach and grows into this strange, ordinary-looking grass. Just cursed grass, waiting for its moment. And that moment arrives during a massive festival in the Prabhas region. What starts as a celebration with music and wine quickly devolves into a dispute. Words turn into insults, and insults turn into unimaginable violence. Warriors who once fought side by side in Krishna's glorious army are suddenly tearing each other apart. In the chaos, they grab handfuls of that strange grass from the beach to use as weapons. And the moment they do, the cursed grass transforms into heavy iron clubs. It's totally tragic. In a matter of hours, brothers, fathers, and sons slaughter each other. The Yadava clan completely annihilates itself. And through all of this, Sri Krishna watches silently. No anger, no surprise. He knows this is simply time, Kala, taking its inevitable course to end the era. Moving on to Part 2, Departure of Sri Krishna. The aftermath of that beach massacre is just chilling. The shoreline is completely silent, save for the waves washing over a fallen dynasty. Krishna's older brother Balarama realizes his earthly purpose is done. He sheds his mortal form as the cosmic white serpent Shisha, emerges and glides right into the ocean. Krishna, watching with a gentle smile, retreats deep into the forest, quietly waiting under a giant peepal tree for his own destined end. Now, here's where we see how perfectly the cosmic loop closes. A hunter named Jara is out in the forest. He sees something glowing in the bushes, mistakes Krishna's foot for a resting deer, and fires his arrow. And the arrow strikes true. When Jara rushes over and realizes he has shot the Divine Lord, he collapses in absolute terror, begging for forgiveness. But Krishna is entirely at peace. He comforts the weeping hunter, explaining a profound karmic truth. In their previous lives, Jara was the monkey king Vali, and Krishna was Lord Rama, who had struck Vali from hiding. So this arrow was simply the karmic completion of that ancient debt. With this, divine light fills the forest. The universe gathers to witness, and Sri Krishna departs the earthly realm. The Dvapara Yuga ends, and the Dark Age, the Kali Yuga, instantly begins. Which brings us to Part 3, the loss of divine power. The ripples of this cosmic shift hit Hastinapur like a massive shockwave. Devastated by the loss of his greatest friend and guide, Arjuna rushes to escort the survivors out of the empty, weeping city of Dwarka. But on the journey back, his caravan is attacked by common thieves. Now, under normal circumstances, this wouldn't even be a fight. I mean, this is Arjuna, the man who defeated the legendary Bhishma and Karna. But as he lifts his great bow, Gandiva, something is terribly wrong. He tries to summon his divine weapons, the Agnyastra, the Brahmastra, but the mantras just fade from his mind. His speed is gone, his arrows are weak. The common robbers defeat him, looting the wealth and kidnapping people right in front of him. Arjuna literally drops to his knees in the dust. And this brilliantly illustrates his agonizing realization that his unimaginable power was never really his own. It was merely a reflection of Krishna's grace, and that grace has now left the earth. So a completely broken Arjuna returns to Hastinapur and delivers this devastating truth to his eldest brother, King Yudhishthira. A profound silence falls over the royal court. Yudhishthira, absorbing the weight of this cosmic shift, speaks these striking words. The purpose for which we came to earth is complete. Now we too must go. He realizes instantly that the era of heroes has permanently closed. They crown their young grandson, Parikshit, as the new emperor. That very night, the five brothers and their wife Draupadi shed their royal robes, their jewels, their crowns, the whole shebang. They leave behind their very identities as rulers.
Part 4. Journey to the Himalayas.
As these legendary heroes walk out of the city gates for the last time, they are no longer kings. They are seekers of liberation. And as they leave everything behind, a single, ordinary, mysterious dog quietly begins to follow them. They cross plains, rivers, and forests, walking relentlessly until the green earth fades away, replaced by the towering, brutal, freezing white peaks of the Himalayas. The climb is punishing. The air thins, the cold bites right to the bone, and the physical and spiritual toll begins to manifest. As they push through violent blizzards, Draupadi stumbles and falls to the ice, unable to rise. A few days later, the wise Sahadeva collapses. Then, the beautiful Nakula. Then, the greatest warrior, Arjuna, falls to his knees and perishes. And finally, the incredibly powerful Bhima cannot take another step, his massive frame succumbing to the unforgiving mountain. One by one, the greatest figures of an era drop into the snow, leaving their earthly bodies behind. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is exactly why they fell. Every time one of them collapsed, Bhima would ask Yudhishthira why such righteous people were dying on this sacred journey. Yudhishthira, bound absolutely to truth, pointed out their fatal micro-flaws. Draupadi was devoted, but she harbored a secret partiality, loving Arjuna slightly more than her other husbands. Sahadeva was incredibly wise, but held a subtle intellectual pride. Nakula was famously handsome, but tainted by vanity. Arjuna, the peerless archer, had a hidden pride in his own unmatched skill. And Bhima, possessing the strength of thousands, harbored an arrogance in his physical might. Despite their legendary status, they were undone by these deeply human, lingering egos. The mountain strips everything bare. Our source text emphasizes that time, or Kala, is the ultimate equalizer. You cannot defeat it with divine weapons, you cannot outsmart it with profound wisdom, and you cannot endure it with unmatched physical strength. To put that into perspective, the Himalayan ascent represents the stripping away of all earthly attachments. Every title, every physical attribute, every ounce of pride is frozen and left behind in the snow. Only the pure essence of the soul is meant to move forward, which is exactly why only one human could keep walking. And finally, Part 5, the final test of Dharma. So, Yudhishthira stands completely solitary. His brothers are gone, his wife is gone, his kingdom is just a memory. The only companion that remains by his side in this desolate, icy wasteland is that same mysterious dog that followed them all the way from Hastinapur. Just as the dark clouds part to reveal the magnificent glowing gates of heaven, a celestial chariot descends, glittering with jewels. Lord Indra himself, the king of the gods, steps forward. He praises Yudhishthira, telling him he has achieved the impossible. He can enter heaven in his mortal body. He invites him to step onto the chariot. But there is a strict condition. Indra points to the dog and says, "The animal is strictly forbidden. Heaven is no place for a stray beast. The dog must be abandoned on the mountain." Here, at the very threshold of paradise, Yudhishthira is forced into a corner, facing the absolute ultimate crossroads, ultimate spiritual reward, or loyalty to a humble companion. Yudhishthira doesn't even hesitate. He looks at Indra and delivers a response of absolute conviction. If heaven requires me to abandon my companion, then such a heaven is unacceptable. I will not go to a place where I must abandon my righteousness to enter. Even when Indra presses him, reminding him that he just left his own brothers and wife to die in the snow, Yudhishthira replies that he couldn't save the dead, but to abandon a living creature that actively sought his protection, that would be a betrayal of his inner core. He turns his back on the heavenly chariot. He literally rejects paradise. The moment he makes that choice, a stunning transformation occurs. The shivering dog beside him suddenly glows with a blinding light. Its form shifts and expands, and standing there on the mountain peak is not a dog, but the deity Lord Dharma himself, the physical embodiment of cosmic justice and righteousness. A real game changer, right? Lord Dharma smiles at Yudhishthira. This was the final grueling test. Would the promise of ultimate paradise tempt Yudhishthira to compromise his fundamental values? By choosing the helpless creature over his own eternal reward, he passed perfectly.
So the crucial point is this. The actual victory of the Mahabharata didn't happen on the bloody plains of Kurukshetra. That was merely a physical war for a physical throne. The true, ultimate victory happened right here on the silent, freezing peaks of the Himalayas. Dharma isn't just about fighting external enemies. It's the agonizing, solitary journey of conquering your own ego, your subtle biases, and your deep-rooted earthly attachments. Yudhishthira didn't just conquer a kingdom, he conquered himself.
As we wrap up this explainer, it leaves us with a really profound mirror to look into. We might not be fighting legendary wars or climbing frozen mountains, but we all carry our own micro-flaws. Our pride, our vanity, our subtle arrogance. The Pandava's final journey reminds us that time will eventually strip away everything we consider ours. Our titles, our strength, our wealth. So as we walk our own inevitable path, the ultimate question remains: have we truly conquered our own inner attachments? Or are we still carrying the weight of our egos on our journey to the summit? Keep that thought with you as you navigate your own everyday battles.